Meet ZeeAmour, a resilient soul with a radiant smile and a story that inspires. In this episode of Everyday Heroes, she opens up about her journey through life's trials and how she's turned pain into power. From personal struggles to moments of triumph, ZeeAmour reminds us that strength isn't about never falling, it's about rising every time we do. Tune in as we unmask the truth, the growth, and the beauty behind ZeeAmour's journey.
Sweet Lady Z, me ZeeAmour.
Bounce ball boogie.
Oh my God, you know that song freaking Tyler, the Creator, just came out?
No, put me in.
It's getting kind of sticky.
Oh, yeah, that one.
I'm like, oh my God, that would have been so, why did I think of that? Bounce ball boogie. Dang it.
Game changer.
Dang it, Tyler. Beat me to it.
It's okay. There's always remixes, you know? There's always
remixes. Hey, I better hit them up.
Right.
Right, heck yeah. Let's do the remix.
Right.
Well, Sweet Lady Z, go ahead and give the world a proper introduction so they know who you are and how you got here.
Yes, well, I've been trying to decide if I want to tell y'all my government or not. I'll tell you my government. That's okay.
You don't have to. It's up to you.
I try to keep them separate. I think of people like Beyonce.
I try to do the same.
She has Beyonce, Sasha Fierce, even like Snoop Dogg went through a couple different phases. He was Snoop Lion at one time, just Snoop. So you just have to separate the people sometimes. So, but anyways, my name is Janice, but I go by ZeeAmour, or you can call me Sweet Lady Z. It's just whatever rolls off the tongue. Honestly, however you met me, I don't mind.
Well, I never knew that was your real name till just now.
Yeah, that's how I said.
And I've known you for years.
Yeah, you met ZeeAmour. That's who you know. You know ZeeAmour. So.
ZeeAmour.
Yes. So I'm originally from Michigan. I'm a Michigan girl, but I'm really familiar with Colorado. Like during the summers, I would come out here to visit my dad, and during the school year, I lived with my mom. So I was just back and forth all the time. And then after I graduated college in 2017, I just decided to move out here. And because I've always wanted it, Michigan. I'm from a small town, Battle Creek. I'm from a small town. So,
Battle Creek.
Yep, Battle Creek, Michigan. Shout out to my people.
Whoa.
Yeah, so small town vibes, but Colorado was just something big and nothing I had ever experienced before. And it was always sunny when I came out here, so I'm like, and it's very cold. It can get very cold in Michigan, so I was like, let me just try it. And a lot of my immediate family was out here too. Like I said, mom, dad, siblings, and stuff. So yeah, and then
wow, that's incredible. I did not know that. So what year did you say you came to Colorado?
2017.
2017? No way.
Yeah, I've been out here for some time now.
Wow, I had no idea. Shit.
Yeah, I've been back and forth. Like I said that before my whole life, but then I officially moved out here in 2017 and been out here. It's crazy. It's kind of approaching like 10 years in a couple years here, which is crazy to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Time it flies.
Especially when you're having fun.
Exactly.
Yo, so, tell us a little about yourself and what motivated you to do all the things you've been doing. I've seen you host events with me. I've seen you be the life of the party. I've also seen you, you're sewing blankets not too long ago, I believe it was. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. And then I was like, oh my God, I can't keep up with this girl. You got something new every time I look on your channels.
Thanks. Yeah. So how did I get into entrepreneurship? Well, honestly, to begin with, even as a little kid, I always knew just like the 9-to-5 life was not for me. That's not knocking anybody who loves their job and found their calling in their 9-to-5. I think that's amazing. And that's a blessing in itself because a lot of people don't like what they do for a living. And I was actually at a company. I'm not going to say the name because I'm not trying to, this gets...
I already know how that goes.
Yeah, so I was working for a company, and I was actually sexually assaulted by a customer.
No.
Yeah, I was sexually assaulted by a customer, and the company just didn't really do much for me, so I just decided to kind of leave that company and just go into entrepreneurship. That's kind of what really got my first foot into it, but it's so funny because I'm actually trying to remember the timelines of it all. I think I started ZeeAmour before I went back into Forex. So I think those were two different timelines. I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember the timelines for real. Because what was it? Remind me. Because
Forex too.
Because we did, I do a lot. I do a lot at once.
All right.
In time. So I believe they were actually simultaneously. I was maybe ending. Yeah, I did ZeeAmour before I did Forex. Okay, so sorry. Go back to the timeline. So I started ZeeAmour because growing up, I always used to look up to Lala Anthony. I always used to think she was so amazing, like just entertaining people and being on that. So that was always like my inspiration. And my brother, Kid Snap, was doing shows and stuff.
Snap, my guy. Whoop, whoop.
Yes. So he was doing shows and stuff at the time, and I was just supporting him. And I was like, bro, let me host the show. Like, he was thinking about doing his first show that he put on for himself. And I was like, bro, let me host it. And he was like, okay, because I'm looking for a host. So that was like that was my first time. And then from there, I started to host events and kind of just get into that. Because that was something I always kind of wanted to get into, was like the media or like entertainment in that way. And then I kind of that's when I transitioned into Forex, because I was still working at my job at the time or whatever. And it honestly ended at the right time, because I think I stopped hosting maybe around 2019 or so, which was right before COVID. So it was perfect alignment. And Forex was something, the foreign exchange market. And I was able to impact a lot of people. So I had started with Forex shortly after Amongst the More. Actually, ironically, my last show was actually a show that I had put on with a business partner or whatever. We had put on a show, and it was great. And I was able to do my Forex there. You were
doing your own shows, like a promoter?
Yeah. I only did one.
Where was I at? Hold on. Where was I at? Where's my invitation?
I mean, on there, I don't know. You know how I actually give respect to the people that put on a show, because there's a lot that goes into it, man. There's a lot to putting in your own show, not just the artist, but the time, the vibes, making sure the person is going to fit the audience, having backups in case the person doesn't cancel, making sure the compensation is like, there's a lot to it. Yeah. There's a lot.
You hear the stress. Can you hear the stress?
Yeah, it's a whole event, finding the right venue, making sure they're not price gouging you. Like, it's a whole process. But yeah, so I did put on one of my events, and then that's what I said, I was going into Forex. And in that platform, I was able to get over 100 people on my team in the state, combined between the state of Colorado and Michigan, a couple other states here and there too, where I was basically helping them create financial freedom for themselves, create another source of income, because this was during the pandemic. So a lot of people had lost their jobs. So this was a great opportunity for someone to invest and see that. Like, that was life-changing for me. I learned so much about myself to help people, like, financially. It's just different. It's different to help people in a financial situation. Yeah. And then after that, I transitioned into Amongst the More, which was my baby. That was my baby.
Oh.
Yeah, that was Blanket and stuff. So home decor. And I did that for about 2 years too, which is leading up to now where I had to take a step back. So with everything, honestly, sorry, to answer your question about what led me to it. I just never really felt appreciated in the workplaces that I was in. I knew that I wasn't reaching my fullest potential, and things just didn't feel at peace. I'm a firm believer in this saying, because I do believe in God. You have to have faith as an entrepreneur, because you have to believe in something bigger than you. That it's not, you'll never have peace if you're not meant to be there. Like, you'll never have peace. And I just consistently was not peaceful and like working and stuff. And I don't know. I just felt like that's my purpose. And that's where my purpose belongs, is to be in the entrepreneurship world. I'm just meant to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. So I just went after it.
Exactly. That's why when you sent that message earlier, kind of questioning if I should be on this podcast, like, girl, you know how many people start and stop, and switch it up and go to different things, you know, just because they're trying to find their joy, you know what I mean? They're trying to find their happiness. And somewhere in the midst there, I pray that everyone finds it. A lot of people don't, and they end up quitting and end up in that 9 to 5. You know, they end up settling. That's what I'm trying to say. They settle. So they sacrifice their joy to settle for what needs to get done, because most of us got kids and all these different responsibilities. And I understand it. I get it. We got to do what we got to do. But my biggest thing is to educate folks that jobs are temporary. They're only to be used as a stepping stone. They're only to be used as a tool to leverage yourself. And a lot of us get stuck in that, paycheck to paycheck living because we got all this stuff hitting us, with bills, and the kids need new shoes, and car broke down, got to get new whatever. And, all these different things keep hitting us. But if we would just take the time to learn how to save properly,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like, even if it's just $25 out of that check, it compounds over time. And that's something people don't think about because we're always so worried about the now. We don't really think about the next day or the next year financially because we're just trying to get over what's in front of us. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's the truth. Yeah, I think financial literacy is an area of opportunity for a lot of minority communities, to be honest with you, because like how you said, we're taught to kind of like live paycheck to paycheck, or there's not a lot of generational wealth around us in general, but financial literacy is so important, and it starts from as soon as you get that first job, like not even,
Right.
because obviously like how you said, it's going to change when you get kids and other responsibilities and stuff, but it is, you gotta make your money work for you and not work for your money.
Right, absolutely. I mean, if I had someone like me talk to me when I was 18, 21, whatever, I feel I would be in a whole different mindset, a whole different boat. I mean, I don't think it would have took me this long to figure it out. You know what I mean? It took me a long time. I'm in my 40s now, and I now feel I'm in a place where I get it. I now see what needs to be done to get to where I want to be. But if someone told me when you didn't have kids, Ryan, you should be putting away 65% of your check every month because you don't have that many responsibilities. You have a car, you have your apartment, pay your bills, but you don't have no other responsibilities but yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I never even thought about that. I was like, shoot, I'm going to the club. I'm going to go hang out with my friends. I'm going to go chase some girls. I'm going to spend that 65% I should be saving on some fun. And that's exactly what I did. And now fun led me to becoming a father. Without being prepared for it.
He said, let me be the father. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was not prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Now I'm preaching to my kids like, I please wait. Because if you bring a child into this world, your whole life just flips upside down. It's like, what? All the attention you're putting on yourself is no longer on yourself. It's now on this little guy or girl that's now looking at me for stuff.
Okay.
It's like, oh my gosh, it's something you have to be prepared for because if you're not, you're just stuck lost, and you're getting all these different advice from all these different people that went through different it's like, it's so overwhelming in my opinion. That's why I say get yourself right financially first before you start talking about children, and plus you want to make sure you're with the right person anyway before you start getting yourself in those situations.
Yeah, that's like a huge part of it. I know my mom always told me to be careful who I choose to have children with, because at that point, y'all are kind of stuck for life at some point, even if it works out or if it doesn't work out, like y'all are stuck for the three of y'all. One is gone. So, yeah.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. So how is that going? Are you a mother? Are you in a relationship now? Or how's the ZeeAmour life?
Oh, the ZeeAmour life. Okay. So no, I'm not a mother at the moment. I do have
Girl, you 29 and no babies?
No, 29 and no babies. Isn't that crazy?
Fellas, come on. Step it up.
I mean, they need to lock in. Where are you at? What are you doing?
Come on. You out there. You listening right now. Lock in.
Lock in. Come correct, though. Come correct, because I don't have time for that. But no, I just, I don't have any kids. Honestly, I've gone back and forth about if I want children or not. But I think at the end of the day, I do. And I actually heard this from Cash Doll. It was like, I didn't understand the statement at first, but she was like, I had my children for me. And I think I've really reached that point now where I understand if I were to decide to have kids, it's because it's something that I want to do, not because it's something that I feel like me and this person had to do, or that I had to do to get myself together. But like, it's what I want to do. So I am approaching that point where I think I want kids. Honestly, it depends on how the first pregnancy treats me, and then we'll see after that.
Let's get to the first one. Let's get to the first one first.
Yeah, and then
let's just get there.
Yeah, it's like twins, because then it's just two and then it's done. It's wraps after that. So I'm kind of like talking with that. Yeah, but I'm just on God's timing when it comes to the person as that's supposed to be my life, my husband, and things of that nature, because in 2024, I had a huge heartbreak. I ain't even gonna lie to you. That almost turned my heart cold.
Oh, no.
Cold. Yeah, it almost turned my heart cold. And from that, though, I learned a lot of lessons. So I was able to date myself and really, and this is something I want to tell somebody. If they're listening, listen in on this part. Okay, dating yourself is so important, like understanding who you are. I think when you're in a relationship, there's three people you're in a relationship with. You're in a relationship with yourself, you're in a relationship with that person, and you're in a relationship with God. Like, those three need to be maintained at all times. And even if that person is religious too, it's like, or spiritual or believes in the God, that person and God has a relationship as well. So that's something I would love to have and aspire to have too. But anyways, dating yourself is so important. And I had to break that down. Like, what does that look like? What does that mean? And I broke it down. Kid you not. I broke it down into like 5 to 6 different subjects. I wrote it down. What does it mean to date myself mentally, spiritually, financially, physically, emotionally, and mentally? Like, what does that look like? And I wrote it down, and it allowed me to hold myself accountable to something. And I've been so happy since, I've been very,
right on.
Yeah. So now I know what it looks like for some, like, cause it's like, if I'm doing this for myself, he needs to come in and do this or more. Like, there's nothing less because I do this for myself. If I take myself out on dates, why would I expect for you to come in here and not take me on dates? You know what I'm saying? So I think it's important to treat yourself right before you expect for someone else to come in and treat you right. So.
Right. Absolutely. And that's huge, especially because a lot of broken homes and a lot of people are just looking for that love that they may have not gotten when they were a child. I've learned, what I've learned most going into my 40s is that a lot of people have child trauma.
Yeah.
that they don't deal with or they bury, you know what I'm saying? Or or they just don't talk about whatsoever because something extreme happened. Or like divorce, all that kind of different stuff has such an effect on a child that a lot of the times the child doesn't find an outlet to express their feelings, or a lot of times they go unheard if they try. So so like you just said, to complement what you just said, dating yourself, it's also taking that time to find that support. Because even though you may be hurting inside, you may be a big tough guy like me that don't want to talk to nobody, because that was me. I didn't want to talk to no one. I just shove it down, let it bottle up. Then all of a sudden I'm crashing out. People are like, "What's wrong with you?" And looking at me like I'm crazy. You want to avoid all that, and you want to be able to find support. And these days, there's so many different support groups, and right now, if I was to be thinking some crazy thoughts, I could call the suicide hotline and have someone talk me down. Which, when when I was younger, that kind of stuff wasn't around.
Yeah.
And so I think these days there's so much support available that I think that not enough people take advantage of it because of their ego. They're trying to be somebody that they're not. And I always try to advise everyone, if you're feeling that way, take the time to reach out for support, even if it's talking to a stranger over the phone, just venting and getting it out, even at the end of that conversation, you may feel like, yeah, they really didn't care, but at least you got it out, and you're not stuck in your head, you're not stuck in the emotion, and now it kind of gives you a path to get to the next phase, to try to get to that part of, all right, I need to accept healing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you too, like, opening up about how within the male community, I think that's like a common thing of not releasing feelings, emotions. And it's like, it needs to be a safe place for y'all too, because you all are human, you have your experiences, and it's not fair for you to be told to just suck it up. And then when you're in a relationship and you're not happy, then she's like, why didn't you tell me? It's like, because you never even knew how to. But I love that you took accountability in understanding like where you're at and where you want to be and utilizing your resources. And I would love to like even see like more free resources. Cause I know that's a lot of times like what people are talking about, is like the cost of therapy or things like that. But like how you said, there's like free suicide hotlines, or I do know that there's certain organizations that do provide like free therapy, or even if you're on, the Medicaid and Medicare, they have mental health, like, it's free. It's included. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's just utilizing your resources and understand. Because being vulnerable, what I've heard too, is like it's something that requires bravery to be vulnerable. It's something that takes bravery. Even though people look at it as weakness, it's something that's actually bravery because you're putting yourself in a situation where people can take advantage of you, but you're doing this to become stronger. So you're taking that step to become like a better person. And some people, and that takes courage, however that looks like. To become a better person.
Absolutely. And I've been so real quick, my little story. So when you and I first met, if you remember, now that I bring that up, if you remember, I had you host a show. It was at a little bar out in Thornton before they shut down.
Okay.
But if you remember, they had this cool black and white checkerboard dance floor. That night, we had Chino XL in the building as the headliner. That was one of my most.
I remember that. I remember that. Okay, was that the donation one? I think.
You remember we did the donation? It was right behind it. That bar behind it. Anyway, I forget what it's called too, so no big deal. But Chino XL was in that building that night, and he performed for us in that bar. And he's no longer with us today. Rest in peace. So that was one of his last shows was with us.
Oh, R.I.P. I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh my goodness.
When I learned about that, it's been a few months now, but when I learned about that, I was like, wow, he was here with us. We were one of his last shows here in Colorado, anyway.
Yeah, I was just looking at that flyer because I keep all my little flyers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I have a little collage myself. I was like, look at all this artwork I've done. I can't just let this go.
Oh, yeah, absolutely
This took time. This took time. It's finesse.
Yeah.
If no one's going to appreciate it, I sure the hell am.
Yeah, as you should. There ain't nothing wrong with that. You put that work into it. Yeah, creating the flyer. Absolutely. I had to outsource for it. Listen, I outsourced for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was always my thing. Is like I find myself being so in tune with art that I was always trying to keep the art to myself. I was like, no one's gonna be better than me. It's mine. I'm gonna do the art. You know what I'm saying? But eventually you get to a point where like when you're doing the show and you want to do the art, like you gotta sacrifice some things and put it in someone else's hand, which I eventually started doing. I started outsourcing just like you did, just so I could have more time availability for my family and still keep doing the things that I want to do. Which takes lots of communicational skills, my people. Communication is huge.
So huge. Oh, my goodness.
In every aspect of life, I'm telling you.
It really is. Oh, my goodness. It's not emphasized enough. Like, it needs to be taught in schools just as English, as long as English is. Like, English is throughout forever. Communication needs to be throughout forever, too.
Yeah, absolutely. When you were in Colorado, and all these different ventures you've been in and out of, can you share what you feel has been the biggest challenge that you've had to overcome or maybe possibly still overcoming?
Yeah. Well, I guess what comes to mind of it, which is probably one of the biggest challenges, and I'll start there, is when you're an entrepreneur and really going into adventures, it's important to not let it become you. You have to separate those things. Like, although, yes, I am an entrepreneur, or yes, I am at the time, a girlfriend, or like maybe you're a wife, a husband, and then you're, I don't know, the worker, your 9 to 5, you're all these things. And it's so important to still make sure you take care of you first. Like, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So early on, I would say my hardest adventure in general, though, since I've been out in Colorado, is entrepreneurship. Because, like, I did my 4-year degree or whatever, but to that, there's an end date. With entrepreneurship, nothing's guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. And what kept hope alive for me with entrepreneurship, I would say, is knowing that, for one, with entrepreneurship, you're going to fail way more than you succeed. And they don't tell you that. You're going to fail way more.
Oh, my God. Wait to hear the echo I put on that, baby. Way.
Yes, please, the emphasis. You're going to fail so many times, and you did everything right. But those wins are wins. Like, they're wins. And with every experience that I had, and this is how I was overcoming it. I started to understand that with every win, like every experience, I'm learning something and I'm taking something from it. I'm not just going to, take this L and that be it. Like, oh, something flopped. Even if it's just not, even if you did everything you could on a professional side, right? Like you set up because with Amongst the More, I was doing booths, or even with Forex, I was pitching and da-da-da. Like, yeah, those are areas of opportunities, things you could tweak. But sometimes at the end of the day, it just wasn't it. But maybe you gained a connecting networking. Maybe you networked. Maybe you learned about your tolerance level with something else. Maybe you learned about something with your finances. So just kind of take a outside look and understand there's opportunity in everything. And like I said, just also to compartmentalizing everything and having faith and confidence. I would say that's probably something that I'm currently still working on, just because I think you have these ups and downs in life. And I just recently lost my father. So it's kind of understanding who I am as that person now, that I've lost that resource, that person, that confidant.
Right, my condolences.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, when I tell you 2024 was just, that was a year.
Yeah, I feel it.
It was a year. But yeah, so now it's just restoring that faith. And although I lost my father, so many things are coming from that. I'm understanding myself more as a person and the community that I want the community that I want around me, the things that I want to take advantage of in life. Because one thing about my father is that he lost his life at work. So he was, he was at work. And I can't really get too much into it because there's some things going on. But, so me, that's like, man, who would have thought, or I'm sure he didn't think that his last days were going to be like at work. And my father was a very hardworking man. Like he owed 12-hour shifts, holidays, all that stuff. Like he worked. So it inspired me to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be fulfilled in this purpose, like on my end. And I know for me, 9 to 5 isn't it. So it just kind of like re-inspired me to become a content creator and to send a message and impact people. It just kind of like reignited that for me. So.
Oh my gosh. So it ignited a spark.
Yeah, it ignited a spark, and he's there with me on the journey. I feel when he's proud. Fitness was really important.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Thing. So yeah, it ignited a light in me.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, that aspect is amazing.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting process, but you can Google it. If you look up Louisville, Kentucky explosion, like it's gonna pop up. And it's kind of crazy because he was supposed to come out here. He passed away November 12th. His 50th birthday was November 17th. And he was going to come out here to celebrate his birthday. Yeah. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's insane. It's been a whole thing.
Man, I can only imagine your feelings. Well, thank you for being strong to share that with us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I'm here to share my story, man. I don't think we just come on this earth and experience things. I think it's important to connect and communicate.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And to kind of jump back a little bit to what you were saying earlier, that's a big thing for men, in my opinion, these days. I would say mainly from my generation down. It's been a big thing. Like we were saying earlier with broken homes, divorces. A lot of us didn't grow up with dads. My dad, I seen him maybe once every 5 years. Whenever he would come into town, we would see each other, and that was it. He's gone. And so reason I'm bringing this up is that, as you know, I have kids. I never had a dad, so I never learned how to be a dad. I didn't know what a dad was supposed to do, except for what you see in movies. So that's why my oldest son now, he's 18, and I was just talking to him last night, apologizing about me having him before I was put together, and you kind of grew up with me, right, in a sense.
Yeah.
And I know that kind of builds his character for who he is today, but at the same time, I'm like, it could have been a lot easier if I just had it together,
Okay. Well, that was nice of you to take accountability and communicate with that. I think that's been a really cool thing in parenting I've seen in these generations is like the parent saying sorry and I apologize. And you don't hear that. And also I commend you for being something that you didn't see. Like that's good for you. 'Cause with that statistic, you could have went the other way easily. You could have easily went the other way.
Oh, girl, I was the other way. I was tipping sideways. During that time, I was tipped sideways. Yes, I was. I was a mess.
Okay.
I was trying to be Mr. Gangster Rapper, and I was living the life. I'll just say that.
Well, happy you got it together. You locked
yes. Woo.
Yeah.
Woo. Yes, it's definitely a roller coaster ride, but yeah, big thing. But like I said earlier, support is out there, and I couldn't have gotten to where I'm at to even talk about this with you. So I was such a big tough guy, right? I didn't want to talk about nothing but whatever, and bullshit. I'll just say nothing but bullshit. So yes, if you are out there and hearing this and you had similar experience, definitely share your experience. You definitely can in the comments or reach out to us below, or maybe you want to jump on the podcast and share your story. We could definitely talk about that too.
Yeah.
I love exploring the possibilities. So with all that and igniting a new spark, you were saying with your father, feeling him around you, you got this new juice flowing.
Yeah.
With that juice flowing, I've been seeing you lately on social media in the gym, just freaking killing it. Now, before I ask what I'm going to ask, now I'm going to commend you because because you can just go. You go to the gym. I can't even get there.
It's
so
okay.
just going is just incredible. So let me ask you this. Where, I know you said you got the ignition from your father and you feel him there. He's kind of giving you that extra push, giving you that extra motivation. But what inspired that to get in the gym, make it a routine, and to start making content of you in there figuring it out?
Yeah, so I would say, again, back in 2024. So one thing that I turned 30 this year, right, in 2025. And in 2024, I was like, man, I know if I want to get my body right for 30, I have to start now. So one of my major goals is to be the best version of myself mentally, spiritually, financially, and physically by the time I'm 30. Like just be at a really good peak, just really proud of who I am and everything that's around me. So, which I know is a big goal, but you have to start somewhere. And some of those goals, need to start it back then and not like when 30's here. So with fitness, I had went out to Hawaii, the islands of Waikiki. One of the most beautiful places I have ever been to. And I did not feel confident taking pictures. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh, I'm in the most beautiful place. And I hated taking pictures. And I was like, wow, like I don't like this. I don't feel good about myself. So when I came back from that trip, that's when I really started going hard because fitness has always been a thing in my life. Like in high school, I was in sports, and even when I first moved out, I've always had like an up and down relationship with the gym. But what really made me lock in, it's always been up and down, like up and down.
Yeah.
But what really made me lock in is, like I said, just realizing that I had a great opportunity and just did not feel good about myself, and I didn't like that for me anymore. I just didn't want that. So with so that's what really like inspired me to start going and being consistent, because it's like nothing's going to change if I don't change. So I just needed to start making that change. Now, what made me start to do content was a couple things. So I actually got results. So I've lost about 35 pounds now, and I've had a vision for myself.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a vision for myself. Like, I wanted to just not just lose weight, but to lose weight, but also build muscle too at the same time. Because I've done that journey before where I just lost the weight and I didn't really like it. So I wanted to, and I think the weight stays off a lot longer if you build muscle too. Building muscle is so important. So what made me feel inspired to start posting it was, I don't know, I've always had this like back and forth relationship with being a content creator. Like every time I would start, I would just stop. So I was like, and then again, this kind of came from like my dad passing, was just like, just go for it. Just go for what you want to do in this life, man. You just never know. Like, I know what I'm doing is not what I want to do. So let's just do something different and see where it goes. And That's what I'm doing. I would say one thing that really made me consistent in the gym too is just, I actually made a video on it. So check it out on like my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok. But just taking those steps and understanding that you're probably going to fail with that too. I think it's crazy to think that, you know, you're not doing something at all to doing something 5 to 7 days a week. Like, you have to give yourself that time to figure it out. And that's what I say in my videos. Like, you're not a failure. You're just figuring it out. So just giving yourself grace during the process.
Well, I'm really glad that you're changing that mindset. Because I heard you say earlier that in entrepreneurship, you fail a lot. And that's when people quit, because they keep failing. But once you switch that mindset from I'm not failing, I'm learning. It's either I'm learning or I'm earning.
Yeah.
That's what entrepreneurship is. That's what the gym is. You know what I'm saying? Because like I get embarrassed because sometimes I try, you see a little cool exercise on YouTube or whatever. Like, dang, I'm gonna go to the gym, give that a try. And all of a sudden you realize that, dang, I cannot do what he is doing. And then some other buff guy comes over and says, let me help you with that.
Right? And it's like, look, I take the help as it comes too. But I think that's the thing, is just knowing that you have had maybe a physical version of yourself that you want to get back to, or like you have an image and then you just want to tweak it. Sorry, there was something else I was going to say too. Oh, what really made me be more consistent too, which I think is important, kind of like in on what you just said, is I wanted to show up for me. I needed to prove to myself that I could be consistent and disciplined to something. Because when you get out of like school or, out of work, like you're able to commit to work and all these other things. Yeah. I need to commit this for myself. Like, I know that sounds so cliche as far as like, do it for yourself. But no, I needed to prove to myself that I could be disciplined and committed to something. Amen. I challenged myself. Yeah.
Amen. So what advice would you say out of this momentum that you've been building? What advice would you give to someone that's struggling and may want to take that first step or possibly build that momentum that you've been building?
To just give yourself grace and take it one day at a time. But also have a plan and a vision. Have a plan and a vision, and while you're executing it, take it one day at a time and adapt as you need to. I know that's like 3 different things, but they kind of like go together. But absolutely. I would just say, honestly, just taking it one day at a time. I think that's probably like the biggest thing, because, at least trying is you're working towards it, but not doing anything, you're definitely guaranteed the results that you're going to have. But trying is going to guarantee you different results. So I would say just make sure that you be honest with yourself. It's so funny. I made a video about that too. But like, just understanding where you're at. The reality of your situation is not forever. It's not permanent. It doesn't have to be permanent. You're understanding where you're at to understand where you want to go and where you need to go. And those steps in between, just take it one day at a time. One day at a time. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't think that it's going to happen tomorrow. Honestly, forget about, especially with the gym, don't look at the scale or anything for like 6 months, bro. Just don't even worry about it. Don't even think about it. Don't look for results. To be consistent. Don't look for results.
Just show up, baby. Just show up. Mm-hmm. There you go. I think that's the hardest part, is just showing up. Just
it is. It is. It can be. I ain't gonna lie to you.
So ever since you and I know each other, you probably know I've been battling weight loss for a long time. My biggest thing is I have this freaking bulging disc in my lower back and also in my neck from a car accident and a football accident back in the day. That's when it all started for me in high school. But anyway, so I have this raging pain in my back every day. And especially when it's cold outside, like today, it's snowing. Like, oh my God, I just feel it in my spine. It's so painful. And there's no, I didn't want to take opioids. I didn't want to, take anything like that. And so I have been on a waiting list for almost 2 years now to get into pain management. Mm-hmm. And that time is finally approaching in mid-March this year. And I'm like counting the days. They keep talking about, I don't know the exact term, but they have like these injections, like an epidural type of thing.
Okay.
I think I said that right. And they injected in my lower back, put one in my neck, and it's not going to solve the problem. It's not going to fix nothing, but it's just going to numb the area for like 3 months. I'm supposed to do it like every 3 months or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, if you just relieve that pain, I feel like I could just move again. I need to get my bounce back.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm counting the days. But that's been my biggest conflict of going to the gym. I'm just sitting there, like I know going to the gym is going to make me feel a little better, and it does. I it relieves the pressure. But yet the mindset of like going, I'm just like, ugh, why? When I could just go scream in the microphone and vent.
Yeah.
So that's where I find myself kind of getting stuck in a comfort zone, if you will. And I know stepping out of the comfort zone, it's a big mindset thing because that's where I'm at. I'm battling myself just to get in the car and go. So just going is a huge accomplishment, in my opinion. And that's why you say stay consistent. This is what I'm taking from what you're saying. If you stay consistent, that means just have the will to go. It doesn't matter how much or so little you do while you're there. Just make it a habit of going.
Yeah, I would say, because I understand that too. Like, that's easier said than done to just go. I think transitioning.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think transitioning into it. So I would start out going. If you know that the gym helps you and it's something that you genuinely want to do, I would say start out like 1 to 2 days a week. Just commit to that. Start to be consistent with that first, and then build your way up. Okay, I've been consistent with 1 to 2. Let me step it up to 2 to 3.
Right.
3 to 4. So like, because like I said, putting that pressure on yourself of going 0 days a week to 5 is insane. I didn't do that. It's insane. So I would say maybe start with like 1 to 2, or even just start by like being active, going for walks, just kind of things just to start to get familiar with being active again. Because like I said, I think it's just crazy to put that pressure on yourself.
We got a dog because of this.
Oh, okay.
Because I have like this big heart, and so when the dog is whining here, I have to go walk him because my heart tells me I need to walk the little guy. So it's been my excuse of having to go walk because of this little guy. So this little puppy, let me tell you, has been getting me active. The kids, when they were younger, they always kept me active, but now that they're teenagers and they're too cool to hang out with their dad, this little guy has stepped in. So props to my dog Peppa. Shout out to you, boy.
Yes.
So yeah, I always say if you could have a puppy, if you're struggling and you want to get walking and you don't want to, a dog, in my opinion, will force you to. Because you just look. He needs to. He needs to go walk.
Yeah.
He needs it, and so that's what's kind of been up jumping me to get moving.
Yeah, I would say just start out with 1 to 2 days a week and be honest with yourself if something isn't working. So, for example, I used to try to go to the gym right after I got off work. It didn't work. So I would go to the gym at like 8 o'clock, but that was more consistent for me. So I was like, okay, this works better. Or when I wanted to become a gym morning person, which I am now. Ooh, that took time. Ooh, that took years.
Really?
Yeah, I go to the gym in the morning now, and I honestly prefer it over the afternoon. But it took me time to work up to that too. But I would just say, like, be honest with yourself what genuinely isn't working, because you don't want to make working out like a chore. It's supposed to be, yes, it's something that you have to do for yourself, and you're going to go through those phases of being excited about the gym and not being excited. But starting out, you have to make it enjoyable. So if it's not enjoyable to go at like 4, it might be enjoyable to go at 8, or it may not be enjoyable to go on Tuesdays, but it might be enjoyable to go on Saturdays. So yeah, that's what I would say. Just
find your schedule. Oh my gosh. And when I was going to the gym in the morning, I found it to be more peaceful because there wasn't as many people there.
Yeah.
So you get access to a lot more equipment that all the cool guys take up in the evenings.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the afternoon, it's like the club. I'm like, ooh, this is too much. I need
right. COVID still exists.
Right.
So how do you feel this momentum you're building and the strength you're gaining? You're gaining momentum with weight loss. How do you feel this is impacting your journey on finding where you want to go with your entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because I believe that they're closely correlated. Showing that I was, at least for me, showing that I was able, or seeing that I was able to show up for myself and be disciplined to something and that I was going to get results made me believe in myself again. It showed me that I do have discipline. I can be consistent. I can stick to something. I do get results. Even if I don't see it, working towards it, something's going to happen. So those things that I saw like in the result of that really made me believe in myself again to take that step into entrepreneurship, and just really made me believe that I do have the qualities and traits to become a successful entrepreneur again. Like, because I think that's the hardest part about being an entrepreneur, is being consistent. And consistent does not look like 100% every day. It's giving something every day, even if it's 5% one day, 10% one day, 110 one day, but then the next day it's maybe 50. But just showing that being consistent will pay off, and that I'm capable of being consistent. Yeah,
that's it. Mm-hmm. So, do you see what path that you're going to be heading down? What's next for you?
What's next for me? I like things up my sleeve, One thing that I've learned from my entrepreneurship journeys before is that I need a passive income, baby. I need that thing to be passive or residual. So I really want to get into real estate. I'm even been looking into vending machines. I've also been on this content creating journey. Like I said, something keeps bringing it back to me, like bringing me back to it. So I'm just going to go into it and see where it takes me. So those are the things that I'm juggling right now. Those are the things that I'm juggling and looking into.
That's incredible. What's one thing that all those different ventures you mentioned have in common?
What do they all have in common? Mm-hmm. What do they all? That's a good question. Let me think about that, because they're very different.
They're very different, but they all evolve around one thing.
They're servicing people.
Exactly.
They're servicing people. I'm here for the people, man.
Exactly.
However I can impact. It's some sort of impact for sure.
Exactly. So throughout my years, right? I've been an artist. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm all these different things. But when I realized that everyone around me is one of those things, I relate to people in some sort of way. But you don't know I relate to you in a specific way, because you and I may not know each other just walking by in a Walmart or whatever. But as soon as I stop and have a conversation and say hi, and you say hi back, now this opens up conversation to learn more about you, right? And yes. I found myself to be in the people business. That's the main reason why I got into the financial world. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you've seen me knock on your door a couple times, like, Z, why aren't you working with me? Because you're showing all the freaking criteria of someone that should be working with me, because we fall into the position of serving people. And one thing that I find a passion is serving people in a way that others can't. Mm-hmm. And that's with their investment planning, their insurance, everything, that their mortgage, everything that takes a toll on their family if they were to lose a loved one. Mm-hmm. And so in the beginning, in 2020, I got laid off. I was at a job for 11 years and they laid me off. They pretty much cut everyone at the top.
Dang.
And thank you. But I have more than one child. I have 6.
I didn't know you had 6.
I have 6. I have 6, and I have my wife, and now I have a puppy, and we have our house, and all of a sudden everything was smooth and it got took away from me overnight. And so I went to a dark place. I was, music stopped because all the venues stopped. Yep. And I got laid off. So I was like, I just felt like I was losing everything. Mm-hmm. Everything was just spiraling. And a colleague of mine, I saw him finding success in the finance world, and I was like, bro, I need to do something. Can you show me what you're doing? Mm-hmm. And he showed me, and at first it was just a job. But I'm going to tell you a quick story, and it was just a job. So I started like around June, July of 2021.
Okay.
And so, from that point till December. In December, I spoke to this young lady, and she was wanting me to get insurance for her dad, life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was talking to her, she had he had all these different health conditions. Like he had a cancer, he was doing a kidney, what you call it, dialysis, and so he could only qualify for so much.
Mm. Yeah, with that insurance, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he had a house, and she wanted to make sure that the house was protected. So I asked her, I said, why are we talking about this now? If you have all these different responsibilities, you should have put some in place a long time ago. And she was just saying it was money at the time. We didn't have money to put into insurance. We didn't have money to put into, financial planning or whatever. In my opinion, they just didn't have the education. And that's what I told her. And so anyway, long story short, I helped her father get a simple plan. Nothing would happen or pay out in 2 years if, God forbid, he passed away in those 2 years. She would just get her money back. So I was like, you're not going to lose nothing. You're going to get your money back plus 10%. But I helped her get an accidental plan to cover the house. And the house, she said, I only need like $100,000 to pay it off. So I was like, well, let's just do this, and we'll do a simple accidental plan for $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
February next year, 2020, now we're 22, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's at work. She was doing like night shift, whatever. The father's at home now, and he decides to go in the shower, which he's home alone, decides to go shower, and he slips and falls in the shower. Okay. He tries to get up. He falls again, and that's where he lost his life. Oh. So when she came home, of course, she found him, and I was one of the first people that she called. So this is when everything started coming to reality for me, right? Like, this is no longer just a sale I made. Now it's like, Ryan, I need your help. Put this policy in action. And now what happened was she stopped paying on that 2 year, which if she didn't know or she didn't listen to me, but it would have paid out if due to an accident. Mm-hmm. And so the little accident policy, they paid like $28, but they got $100,000 into her account within weeks. Mm. And it was my responsibility to ensure that got to her and, advise her on what to do from there. And I was like, the day that she called me and said, Ryan, I thought this shit was a scam. and bam, there's like $100,000 in her bank account. And she was like, so, you could see the relief in her eyes. You could hear, the tears, this pain is being relieved. I'm just like, what? You know what I'm saying? So that was my experience. And within the first half year of me doing this, and I just saw the impact it had on the whole family. Then all of a sudden, I went from protecting all the cousins and the sisters, and everyone just came to me because of that situation. And I was just like, wow, 2 months it just took 2 months after that initial conversation. So it's like, it opened my eyes. Like, we all have this currency called time, and we don't know how much of that we have. And so over the years, I've always had, especially in the rap world, I've had a lot of friends that lost their lives to dumb, just being in the wrong place and wrong time, I guess you could put it. Just dumb things. And there's no one educating anyone about these type of protection plans that you could have that are low cost. And that's why I said, Z, I mean, if you're looking at how people, this would be perfect because there's so many people that are lost trying to figure this money thing out on their own. They don't know how money works. And that's why when they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, they're putting insurance off because they don't think they can afford it. Mm-hmm. Because they're settling for this little job that they're dedicated to. Yeah. That doesn't care about them. That any moment could swipe them. That could replace them. You know what I'm saying? I was like, it's became a passion of mine of just trying to understand, like, you could build something for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Insurance is so important. Please get life insurance, please.
And it's not even, it's not even, I mean, I guess it's important, but it's just knowing how it works. And then when I dove deeper, I started seeing all these crooked agents that are coming in and talking to elderly people and selling them shit that they don't even need. So then I found myself in another position where I'm helping this elderly woman paying $200 some for like 20,000. Like, girl, no, I could get you 20,000 for way less. You know, it's those little things that I've been finding over the years that I'm like, wow, I almost feel at this point I'm becoming a superhero. You
are saving lives. Not all superheroes wear capes. Like, yes, you are
that's
a superhero.
It. That's it. And every day I can feel the gray in my beard just becoming more and more.
It's stressful being a hero.
It is. It really is. It really is.
Especially with finances, man. Finances is a completely different thing. Like, to talk to somebody about their money is constantly having difficult conversations, or like how to deliver this message when you know you have their best interests at heart, and it's making sure they receive that as in receiving it as that. So I understand.
Right, absolutely. It's all about building relationships, and that's why I always say, even to my kids, I'm telling them, like, no matter what you want to do in life, it's going to involve money. So take the time to get a financial education. Learn how money really works. There's 4 quadrants to this money thing. And we all start as an employee. We want to become an entrepreneur. But what do we don't realize? Once you say, I'm becoming an entrepreneur, I'm quitting that job, you're not an entrepreneur yet. You're self-employed.
Yes. You are self-employed. Those are different things.
Self-employed. That means if you don't go to work, you're not getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not servicing, you're not getting paid. And I think that's the part that scares people the most. That they have to go to work.
Are you talking about with like entrepreneurship or just a job in general?
I mean, entrepreneurship and the idea of working for yourself, I think that's what scares people the most, is the fact that they truly have to go to work.
Yeah, I've worked way harder as an entrepreneur than I did at any 9-to-5 ever.
Any 9-to-5. Oh my God. I remember working at King Soopers as a kid, right? And, we're bagging groceries, pushing carts. And I remember me just busting ass, like in the snow, pushing carts. Then you see homeboy over there smoking a cigarette, sitting with his back against the wall, talking to homegirl, like, yo, dog. We're getting paid the same. Help.
Right? Yeah.
But he's making the same amount that I'm making, but I'm busting my ass. You know what I'm saying? It's unfair.
Yeah, that's a whole, and that was the thing too, especially at least for me in sales, because I've worked for some companies where I was in sales, and I try to be like the really best. I'm usually like the top 1% of any company that I was really a part of, like when it came to sales, and I was like, y'all are not cutting me what I deserve. The math wasn't mathing, and I will say that's when entrepreneurship is rewarding in that way. Like, it's not even about the finance, but when the money is good, like, that's great, but the impact that you have. Right. I think is what's the most rewarding with any business. The Forex, the Amongst the More, especially with the Amongst the More, because that was a product, right? Because like how you said, you can either do like a service or a product. And with the product, just to see somebody's face light up, or like even in like to feel that love, or to have something in their home that reminded them of somebody that they love, or, oh, my grandma's gonna love this. And then, or even like with Forex, to be like, wow, like you helped me pay my bills this month. And I'm just like, it's things like that make it all worth it.
Absolutely.
It makes it worth it.
Absolutely. So that's what sparked the idea of me jumping into creating this type of podcast. Is because I've been sitting with people, talking about their finances and stuff, and like you just said, asking the hard questions, which means you got to hear the hard answers. And I'm like hearing all these different stories from all these different people. And think about it right now, Z. In 20 years, 30 years from now, if you have kids, if you decide to do that, and they have kids, they're going to come back and listen to this podcast and hear 29-year-old grandmother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now they hear your ambition or where you were at right here today at this age. And they're going to relate to that. They're like, dang, now I know I can give myself some time. I don't got to keep putting this pressure on me. You know what I'm saying? At 20, trying to figure it out, when grandma's at 29 still putting together, figuring it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm saying, so in my eyes, I'm like, this is a great way for people to capture the voice of where they're at today and be able to share it with the future generations down the line. And no one's thinking about that, but I am. So I'm like, that's where the service is.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, and your kids are able to look at it now too, and just kind of probably even see a different side to their father. That, because I'm imagining, like, father you is different from like podcast you, unless you share that side with them. I don't know, but I'm sure they're going to be able to see something from you, like with how you interact with people.
I try my, in the past, I used to have different masks to put on. Like, I'm rapper. Now I'm hardcore. Now I'm business guy. Now I'm dad. Now I'm just me. I put it all away. Now.
This is who you're going to get, and this is who I am consistently. I love that.
Yeah. I've been, just been being originally me. And I've even had talks with my wife about, with me doing music and stuff. I don't even feel I'm at a point where I need to use Bounce Ball Boogie anymore. Because I used to hide behind that. That was my stage name. That was my, I could be wild and crazy because I'm Bounce Ball Boogie. You know what I'm saying? That was the mindset behind it. But now I'm like, I don't need to have that persona because I am who I am and people love me for who I am. And that's it. And if you don't, just keep it moving, homie.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That is the great thing. If you don't like it, keep it moving. But I love that you're being authentically you and you don't care who is and who isn't, because the right people are going to be there, they're going to support, and they're going to hear the message that they're supposed to hear. Yes. So I love it. So are you Ryan? So is your preferred name Ryan?
I have been accepting it. It feels good to hear people say, "What's up, Ryan?" Instead of people like, "What up, Bounce?" Like I still accept it because I built it. I'm not going to correct them because I want them to remember me, but I'm like, yeah, Ryan Chavez is the shit.
Yes, he is. I love that so much. That's amazing.
You. See, we're growing, Z. We're growing.
We are. And I relate to that too. That's why, like, at the beginning, I was like, honestly, my name depends on how you know me or how you met me.
Absolutely. But, I was telling my boy last night when we were having this deep conversation. When I was growing up, it was all about who you know, not what you know.
It still is, honestly.
I don't agree. This day and age, it's about how many people know you for what you don't.
You said, could you repeat that? You said how many people know you?
How many people know you for what you know? When I was growing up, it was all about who you know, not what you know. But these days, it's all about how many people know you for what you know. That
gets you, like, popping? Or that creates value? Or what do you feel like people knowing you for what you know creates?
Think about this. People are watching you, your content, you're going to the gym, you're inspiring. Mm-hmm. Eventually, you're going to have a service, product, whatever you decide to go down. And they're going to come to you, Z, talking about, man, you got me in the gym, girl. You might have some merch. Like, girl, let me get some of that Z merch. I'm going to go to the gym, wear this merch. You know what I'm saying? Now I know Z got the merch. How many people know that Z knows that she got merch? And then I go deeper, building a relationship with Z, because now I got this fresh-ass hoodie, whatever. I go working out. I want to give you a review. What else you do, Z? Shit, I'm trying to find me a house, boo. What you got? You know what I'm saying? So it's all about building that network of how many people know you. That's what content is really about. In my opinion, you are the content. Your life is the content. What separates you from me is you. No one's going to do what you do but you, and how you move and how you think. And, you know what I'm saying? That's what separates you and me. People want to know what Z is up to. People want to know what Z is diving into. You know what I'm saying? The everything else is just to attract and bring you in. But, baby, once you're in, I got to serve you.
Yeah. I got to bless what's going to keep them? And that's opening up. Oh, my gosh. Opening up on the internet?
Absolutely. This is where it's headed. You're on the path.
The shallow stuff can talk to him, Ryan. Oh my goodness, because the shallow stuff can only go so well. Not even shallow, but surface can only go so far. It really can. At some point, people do want to know who you are and what you got going on. Like, and to share that, confidence.
We
It's
all,
scary because it's making you vulnerable, but it's.
we all want to know. We want to see the tears. We want to see the smiles. You know what I'm saying? It's like the Truman Show. Remember that movie, The Truman Show with Jim Carrey?
No, sounds familiar though.
Anyone
Oh
watching this?
yeah. Where
watch
everyone
the
around
Truman
him
Show.
was like
His life was
was
the
like
show.
on his
Yeah,
life but him.
everyone.
Yeah. I have seen that. Yeah, I've seen that. And it was like, yeah. Mm-hmm. It
You
was like
are the star to your own Truman Show.
Yeah.
Everyone's watching. And
you'd be surprised. Yeah. How many people are actually watching? You think no one's watching? No, there's people watching.
Oh, they're watching.
Yeah.
They're watching. It's just up to them to engage. So that's like we were saying earlier, consistency is what's going to make you, because the more you're consistent, the more you're putting out there, which means the more people are learning what you know.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to build your own self-brand.
Putting out there what you know, it's building your self-brand.
Absolutely. Think about it, man. I know this girl, she goes to the gym, just everything I need to be doing, I want to work with her. I want her to do my finance shit. You know what I'm saying? Instead of that, instead of that boy, that man coming up in the suit, knocking on your door with the briefcase, that's from the 70s. That's from the 60s. That ain't that thing no more. People want authentic people, especially these days, all the different scams and all the different people are out for everybody, right? That's what I think the most powerful thing about content is you're showing your authenticism. You're showing how authentic you really are. People are going to know you care.
Yeah.
About certain things. Like if I sat down with someone just trying to make a sale, they know. They feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're asking questions, those harder questions, it's because you care.
Yeah.
So I always say the person that asks the most questions wins, always.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I love to. I'm gonna get. That's what I tell people. I'll be all up in your business if you let me. Because I'm an ask. Rather you decide to answer it, it's up to you. But I'm an ask. So.
Oh, girl, you better start your own podcast. Here we go.
I've thought about it. But you honestly, in this moment, have given me something to think about when. Because if I'm being honest with you, I kind of was like, dang, with this creative stuff. But I didn't want to put myself in a box, right? That's what I said with doing content this time. I'm going to do whatever my heart desires. And I'm kind of like, with my gym content, do people just want to see me working out? Do people want to hear me talk about working? Like, what do you want to see? But to take it to the next level and be vulnerable on the internet, I don't know. That's a challenge. You made me really think about that, to be vulnerable.
Absolutely.
To go a little bit deeper. Because, some of my favorite content creators are putting their business out there. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know. That's crazy.
Absolutely.
That's crazy. Something to think
about. Oh my God, yes. I mean, so what sparked that conversation last night with my boys, he was because he wants to do music. And he was like, I want to blow up. I want fame. I was like, son, it ain't about fame these days. Mm-hmm. Ain't about getting signed to a record deal anymore. It's about building your brand. It's about building yourself up. It's about putting yourself out there, putting yourself in places where other people won't go. Do things that other people won't do. Say the things that people won't say. On the internet, you have something that I didn't have at 18. You have a little red button that says go live. You know what I'm saying? And you could spill your emotions. You could spill your thoughts. You could educate with what you know. You could do anything you want to do once you hit live. You can start rapping. You can start singing.
He could be a live rapper. Yeah, that's a thing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, either way, once you hit that little red button, you're showing who you are. People want that. That's what they want. They want to know who you are and why I should fuck with you. Excuse my language. Why I should do business with you.
Right. So I have a question. Has rebranding as Ryan, because I get that, right? I get that. You have this stage name and then you rebrand yourself as like your original name or like the name you grew up with, because that's like a whole person themselves. So has rebranding as Ryan allowed you to be more open and honest with people? Or like what allowed you to get to this place to be more open and honest?
What's allowed me to get here is putting myself in uncomfortable places. So like I said, going into the financial world, I didn't really have much guidance. Don't get me wrong. They showed me what to do. They gave me the words to say, just like I did with the script today, just an outline.
Mm-hmm.
I had the outline. I had the game plan, but it's up to me to go run it.
Yeah.
So I put myself in the most uncomfortable positions ever. So I'm going to talk about this, and I don't want to offend anybody, but growing up, it was always a big deal about white folk are the rich folk, and the rich folk are evil. Money is evil. You know what I'm saying? Money's the root of all evil. You know, all these different things I was taught growing up, and I realized today it was a block. That mentality is what was blocking money from coming into my life. And so I started putting myself into the situations where I'm now talking to richer folk. I'm now talking to people that are more successful than me. I'm now dealing with the judgments that they put on me. I'm now hearing what they have to say about my performance, right? And some of it was bad. And then sometimes I did feel the prejudice or racism on me just for being who I am, a tatted up Mexican, right? That can't speak Spanish. But that's how I learned. Like, no one's gonna take me for real unless I'm just break down and be who I am. I have to show them who I am for them to take me serious, for them to put their trust into their finances to work with me. Mm-hmm. So that is what helped me kind of break that barrier. And I'm still working on it. Don't get me wrong. I'm still working on it, but I feel at a point now where I'm comfortable in my own skin. Yes, I want to, like you say, still work on myself and I still have goals and ambitions to get to a better place health-wise, but putting yourself in the most uncomfortable positions is what helps a person grow.
Amen. Yeah. And being yourself, your authentic self, I can understand that being something uncomfortable because, like I said, you're worried about what other people think, and you just cannot worry.
No, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has an opinion, and you got to let them have their opinion. But when the flip side of that is their opinion, and them being vocal about their opinion on you is luring people to look at you. Mm-hmm. That's why they always say haters are your biggest supporters, because they're always talking that talk about you. Mm-hmm. But if I'm talking that talk about you, Z, about Kid Snap, the girl behind you is like, well, what did Kid Snap do? I'm going to go check out Kid Snap. What's he really saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, now it piques that interest. Like, well, what's really going on?
Yeah, people are nosy. People want to know your business. They really do. They really do. People are like interested in people. And I don't want to, let me rephrase that because I'm nosy too. There's nothing wrong with being nosy, y'all. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that.
I want all the cheese, man.
Yeah, like, let me know. I want to know stuff. I like knowing stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's where I see people finding success is when they are truly being themselves. They let go of all the worries. They're just like water off a duck's back. Just let it roll off. Everyone's going to talk some stuff once at a time. Just like when I get on the phone, I get someone cussing, yelling at me. I used to get mad. I used to get real mad. And it would throw off my whole day sometimes. Like, I ain't even going to touch the phone no more today. But I realized they're not mad at me. They're mad at their life. They're just taking it out on me because I just popped up all of a sudden. I'm just now in their face. So I just have to be the victim. And, once that mindset changed, that's when I realized I'm not the problem. They have their own problems, and they're just taking it out on me. So I got to be the professional and break that barrier.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good mindset to have, especially being within that industry, because finances are just a touchy subject. So, like, I understand. So it's good that you don't take it personal when someone is yelling at you to, like, this is their situation. That's a good mentality.
All of this, everything that I'm telling you, and as a collective, that if I was to give you a box and say, Z, this is everything I've been doing, here it is. It's a financial education. That's all I've been doing, is learning how this money thing works. As I was going to say earlier, no matter what type of business you get yourself in, it's going to involve money.
Absolutely.
And the more you know how that money is utilized as a tool, the more success you're going to be, the more you're going to be able to leverage yourself, and most importantly, you're going to be able to pull people up with you, which means now you're expanding the economy. You're creating jobs. And that's what I think entrepreneurs don't think much about, because they're just worried about all these obstacles that are in their face at the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
But you're building opportunity. You're creating opportunity, and that's what we want the most out of it, out of everything. We want opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that so much.
Absolutely. How do you? I mean, with where you're currently at, how do you feel like the balance is? Like still trying to figure out which path you want to take career wise, and your personal life, love life, your gym life. How do you feel the balance is? Do you feel it kind of gets overwhelming at times, and then when it does, how do you kind of calm things down?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It gets overwhelming. It's kind of funny. This weekend, I plan on creating a schedule for this content creating journey and how I plan on editing my content, creating my content, and stuff like that. So when I get overwhelmed, which I have been, lately, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I can get overwhelmed by stuff. I actually got this tip from my mom. She said, just wipe the slate clean. Just wipe it clean and only do what you need to do right now. Because everything else after that is a choice. So what do you need to do? What do you have to do right now? And if you have your 9 to 5, you have to show up, because you have to pay your bills, right? And for me, what I have to do is the gym. I have to do that. Anything else after that, I just can learn how to fit into my schedule. So my planner is my best friend. I still get a planner. Recommend for everybody to get a planner. If you're an entrepreneur, you need a planner. I don't care. You need a planner. Or if you have goals that you're really trying to hit or multiple things that you're trying to experience. But yeah, when I get overwhelmed, I just kind of wipe the slate clean and see what I need to do and try to balance that and then start to slowly add in things that I want to do. But this content creating journey is very new for me. So in order to be successful with it, it's like, okay, I only have so many hours in a day. How can I prioritize this? But so now I'm going to see, I need to start utilizing my weekends more, or during the week, I have about this 2.5 hour gap and I'm trying to even see how can I utilize that to my best advantage. So I would say time management is major. And although it is important to still take care of you, it's managing that time too. It's does that look like that's going to happen for me during the week? Or is that only on the weekends and stuff like that? And also just keeping the mindset that it's temporary until you get it figured out. It's all temporary. Right. So although it might be hard right now or getting used to it, it's temporary and adjusting. If something doesn't work,
is temporary.
Yeah, it is temporary. And if something doesn't work, be honest with yourself. Just readjust.
Mm-hmm. There you go. That is it. And that's where the question comes up about, like I said earlier, a job is to be leveraged. It's a stepping stone, right?
Mm-hmm.
People then start asking the question, well, how do I find that time, right? 9 to 5, there I go, doing what I got to do. I get off work. I go pick the kids up from daycare. I got to go home, cook dinner. I got to put the kids to help them with homework, put them to bed, right? And then all of a sudden, you just said the magic number. I got that little hour, 2 hours there, kind of to myself.
Yeah.
And that's usually where we kind of take that, that deep breath or go take a relaxing bath. But if we were to take some of those 2 hours and actually utilize it for your own business,
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? For me, it's phone calls. I have to make phone calls to people that raise their hand and say, I need help. And I'd reach out to them, book an appointment. So whatever that looks like for that specific person, you have to figure out what to do with that little time and try to figure out how to utilize that time. Because like I said, pain is temporary. So yes, you're putting in that little time that you wish you could be in that bath lounging, but now you're grinding it to get that extra money. Once you get that extra money and you can see that's now easing things up a bit for the household,
mm-hmm.
it's worth it.
Yeah. And I think even too is something that changed again for me is utilizing my mornings. So I don't know what that looks like. Obviously, everyone's schedule is different. But if you need to make that sacrifice to wake up early in the morning to have some more time in the day, do that. Or maybe it's meal prep. What things can you do at a batch or in one bulk that could give you more time later? But I also think, too, just kind of writing down your day allows you to see how much time you actually have in the day. Because there is a lot of time where we might spend scrolling on our phone or there's just different pockets. Yeah, like how you said, just kind of realizing what are your pockets throughout the day.
Yeah. So that means you got to be truthful with your habits.
Yeah, be honest, man. You got to be honest with yourself, for real. You got to be honest. Don't be lying. Because lying ain't hurt nobody but yourself. So don't be lying to yourself.
Absolutely. So if you were to put everything into, I don't know, like a nutshell, if you were to say, here's my biggest piece of advice for that person that wants to become an entrepreneur, that wants to get better with their health, that wants to step out of their comfort zone, what's the biggest piece of advice you would give them?
Yeah, I would say to be honest with yourself with where you're at and where you want to be, and what those steps in between look like. I know that sounds overwhelming, but having a plan is going to be better than just diving into the deep end. And each of those opportunities are going to look different, right? It's going to look different for entrepreneurship. It's going to look different for the gym. So give yourself stepping stones to measure your success and keep elevating off of that. And throughout the process, it's going to get hard. It's going to get hard. It's not going to be easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. It's simple, but not easy. But it is also achievable. So give yourself grace during this time. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Allow yourself to have learning curves. And be adaptable, adjust, and keep going, because you are not a failure. You are just figuring it out.
Right. Absolutely. You're not earning, you're learning.
Yes.
There you go. Perfect. And you know, that was one thing I wanted to bring up is that you mentioned earlier having faith is a big thing. And I know that's also a controversial topic. But I have had agents where they want to, join me in business, and they may not be there, with religion, and that's fine. The alternative to that is gratitude. Every morning, that's one thing that I do every morning is I have an app on my iPad, and I use my little iPad, and I write in the 3 things I'm grateful for today. And when I started, I was like, I'm going to run out of things to say, but I'm going to run out of things to say by the time the week's over, right? So, when you first start, it's really basic, stuff that's around you, right? But by the time you get a week into it, now you start really digging deeper, and then you start digging deeper. Naturally. This happens naturally. If you put the time to really write down 3 things every morning or night before you go to bed or when you wake up, your gratitudes, right? The 3 things you're grateful for. You'll start off like the basic whatever. But as you keep doing it, you're going to start finding yourself, you're digging deeper. Like, what am I really grateful for today? And so that has opened up a lot of doors for me also. And I think it opened up a lot of doors for any listener right now that may be questioning, well, I'm not a religious person. Well, you're still believing in yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. So you said that you write down like 3 things every day, and you realize that it's gone deeper than the surface. Okay.
Absolutely.
Nice. I love that. I love that.
Absolutely. You get, I mean, when you're doing that, you're kind of doing what you said earlier. You're kind of dating yourself, building a relationship with yourself, because you're kind of in the mirror, if you will, right? But writing it on, in a physical form so you can see it. So yes, you feel it. Yes, you know it's happening. But once you see it, you can kind of release it.
Yeah, writing, there's definitely power in writing. There's power in the tongue. So I think it's very important about what you're giving your energy to, for sure.
That's why they call it spelling.
Right. For real. There's power in that stuff, man. There's power.
And I didn't really realize that, with music.
Okay.
I always thought my mom was crazy, right? Like she would yell at me, turn off that devil music, da 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 da. And at the time I was like, what are you talking about, devil music? But then I look back, I'm like, oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, looking at the words.
I get it now.
There's one song that did feel like put a spell on me. I was like, this is not what I meant. What I meant, this is not.
I should not have been listening to Snoop Dogg with gin and juice in 5th grade. You're right. I had no business.
Maybe I should turn on to something else. That's
had no business.
Yeah. We've all been there before, though, for sure.
Oh, my gosh. And
it's the beat. The beat gonna get me every time. So. Yeah. Yeah, you guys have a good beat. That's how they attract you and stick you in. And then all of a sudden, this dude starts putting all these words in your head. Like, oh, my God. Right.
Like some of the songs I've made in the past, I'm like so sorry. Like I've been thinking like, should I take this down? Like, no, I'm gonna leave it because that's who I was at that time.
Yeah, it's just forgiving. Yep, you just gotta forgive that version. That was Bounce. That was Bounce Ball Boogie. We don't. Yeah, that was just Bounce. You're Ryan now.
I swear I'm a good guy.
Yeah, that's right. Ryan wouldn't do that. Ryan wouldn't do that. So.
Oh my gosh. Well, Z, this has been a great conversation. I mean, oh my God, it's been a long time coming for us to have this talk. You and I haven't talked like this for a long time. Actually, I don't think we ever actually talked like this, but we haven't had a conversation in a long time. So I appreciate you taking time, especially on your Saturday, to speak with me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. Anytime, man. It's been really nice catching up with you and seeing your perspective on things and seeing like how you look at life. It's been really amazing.
Absolutely. Well, my biggest perspective that I want to leave you with, Z, is that it would be an honor if I had a chance to work with you. I think you and I could probably do a lot of good things. Even if you were to say, Ryan, the finance thing isn't for me. I get that, but even as referral partners or podcast partners, stuff like that, however which way that we could collaborate, I'm more than willing to discuss those possibilities.
Ooh, let's talk. Yes, I'm open. I love the opportunity. Let's talk.
Absolutely. Well, Z, is there let's before we sign off for today, please let our audience know how they can connect with you, how can they support you in your business ventures, how can they find ZeeAmour?
Yes, so you can follow me. I had to write it down because I want to make sure the spelling's right? So you can follow me on TikTok for as long as we have it. For ZeeAmour 143. So that's ZeeAmour 143. And then my Facebook is Sweet Lady Z, and Sweet Lady is one word, and then ZEE. And you can follow me on Insta, ZeeAmour with 2 underscores. So again, ZeeAmour 2 underscores. I'll be posting all my content on those platforms. Like, share, follow, comment, retweet, or not reshare. That's like the best support. That goes a long way for sure.
Absolutely. Well, you heard the lady. Get on it. Go follow Lady Z, Sweet Lady Z, ZeeAmour.
Yes.
And share that content.
Yes, let's build the community. Let's build it. Join it. Let's build it. Yes.
Awesome.